everybody to Empty Nesters. I'm Jill Whelan with my partner in crime,
LEAH MANGUM.
How are you? We are so excited. We have a dear friend of mine who is an incredibly accomplished actress, producer, writer. There's so many things in your title.
Podcast.
I don't even know what to
oh my
say.
gosh, I'm stuck on your podcast now. I'm loving it.
You guys probably know her the most from a great TV show that starred Nancy Dussault and Ted Knight called Too Close for Comfort. This is my friend Lydia Cornell.
And 6 Love Boats I did when you were a little girl.
I know. Well, you were a little girl too.
I was much younger.
Weren't we all?
And I was a huge fan of both of these shows, so I'm just ecstatic right now. This is so cool.
What a sweet introduction. So great to be here.
So good to see you. I love you too.
And I love you.
Oh, I love you.
So you got to talk about how you had your first speaking role on Love Boat.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I walked into town after I was born in El Paso, Texas, and we moved to New York, and then I suddenly got out to California after my father passed away in Holland. And I remember being my first date was with an agent in LA, and I walked into La Scala Boutique, and there was Aaron Spelling, Fred Astaire, Robert Wagner, and Natalie Wood sitting at the front booth.
As one does.
My goodness. And how long have you been in town?
5 minutes, like maybe
word.
2 weeks, and I was
It's
starstruck.
like a Lana Turner story.
Oh my goodness.
It was, and I was so starstruck, and I was like, I literally was tongue-tied, and my date introduced me, and I sat down shaking, and then Natalie Wood went like this and summoned me over halfway through our meal, and I went, just sort of like a robot.
Yes.
Walked over, and she said, Mr. Spelling would like to meet you. Apparently, he likes to meet all the young girls that are brand new in town.
Right.
I'm sure
he needs
he
an
did.
introduction.
And then they said, why don't you come, are you an actress? I said, yes. And he says, why don't you come and meet my casting director tomorrow, Kathy Henderson.
Oh my gosh. Blast from the past.
Yeah, do you remember her?
Yes.
Oh my
Is that who
God.
cast you?
No, it was, gosh, I have to remember who cast me.
It's okay.
I can't remember.
You were the whole time on that show, but
Yeah.
I went in the next day and I immediately got a Love Boat. Oh, and I got a Charlie's Angels as well.
I'm sure.
Where I had no lines, but I stood behind Shelley Hack and Cheryl Ladd, and I tried to peek out. I had a few lines, hello or something, and you could see me peeking out from all the trying to get a camera. But
Well, that was smart for a
Yeah.
non-seasoned kid to go realize, I better figure this out.
Were you acting in El Paso and in New
Yeah,
York?
I was an actress my whole life. Since
Okay.
I was 12, I wanted to be. I created stage plays in the backyard. I wanted to be the guy. Not the guy, but I was the director.
In charge, yeah.
And I had to play the boy in every play because none of my friends would play the boy.
Right,
I had to be the
right.
prince.
Look at you sacrificing for your young career.
You're ahead of your time.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
But it was more the creative. I love the idea of the backstage and the grease paint and the sets.
Yeah.
So I was just obsessed with the theater. My dad was a violinist. And in the symphony, they did an opera of Pinocchio, and I wandered around backstage, climbing inside the whale and the
It's a
dolls.
great opera. That's a great opera.
It was heaven.
Oh,
So
that's wonderful.
that was a dream early on.
So, did your parents, how'd they feel about you?
Oh
wanting to-
God, no! You can never be an actress.
Yeah.
You have to get a job, and you have to get a Wall Street. Go to Wall Street and be a business.
Right.
person.
This is your hobby.
Financial
Right? Acting is your
broker.
hobby.
Yeah.
So, but I love the story you told about the first Love Boat that you did, that you looked into the...
Oh my God! Okay, so my first Love Boat, I had so much rouge on and makeup, and I didn't realize you don't look right into the camera. This is how. I was kind of nervous though.
Yeah.
I knew that you don't look in the camera, but for some reason, Artie Johnson is there. I'm playing shuffleboard. Is that
Artie
the
Johnson?
episode of Artie Johnson?
I think so, because
And
that's...
Audrey Meadows was in that episode. She later played my grandmother on Too Close for Comfort. But I'm playing shuffleboard in a bikini, of course.
As
On
you
the
do.
Lido deck? Is it the Lido deck? Is that
Yes.
what?
Yes.
And Lauren Tweez was there.
Yeah.
I met her in the makeup room. And it was like, I was so nervous. And I'm going out there in this bikini with so much makeup, and I'm playing shuffleboard, and suddenly I have a couple lines, and I look right in the camera, and I deliver my line, and the director goes, "Hey, bimbo!" He didn't say bimbo.
But that was the intonation.
I felt like a bimbo. You know, and he goes, "Don't look in the, what are you doing? We don't look in the camera. We look at the actor."
Right.
Of course. I was in every play in high school.
Right.
Maybe
So
five
you,
plays.
yeah.
I knew better.
You knew.
Right. But that's a
Being on a
daunting
set,
situation.
That was your first role.
Yeah. And it wasn't a pilot. I mean, this was an established show, and so
Yes.
you knew what it meant to be.
And having to be half naked on camera is kind of
Yeah.
hard for young women. In those days in the 80s,
Right.
it
That
was
it.
expected of you.
Yeah.
You were really an object.
Yeah. Oh, and the crew thought so too. You know, on the bathing suit days, we all of a sudden had so many more producers than I ever knew we had.
Really?
So
Oh,
what did you
wow.
think about the body makeup trip? I used to go into
Oh,
the
yes.
body makeup woman and she'd do
That was a
whole
dear friend
thing.
of mine, Margie.
I love Margie.
Margie is
The
still
blonde one?
alive. Yep.
I love her.
Still alive. Her husband
Uh-huh.
was Doris Day's makeup artist.
Oh,
really?
Yes, and she looked just like Doris Day. She's
Oh.
102.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
God.
Still kicking.
That's so
Yeah,
cute.
still kicking.
I'd like to
Anyway,
hear more about her
I'm
sometime.
going to tell you.
Yeah.
But what I really want to talk about is how did you navigate being an actress, all of the prism that you see that through,
Directing,
directing, producing, all of that stuff, and then having your son.
Oh.
Like, tell me about that.
I took time off to raise my son and to stay home, and it wasn't actually from my choice. You know, I would in the '80s when you're a sex symbol. ABC made posters of me in bikinis on all fours and sequin bathing suits, and that was the era.
Right.
You know, it was Suzanne Summers,
Farrah Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett, Lonnie Anderson. I had these posters out,
Cheryl Ladd. It was
Cheryl Ladd,
Yeah.
and then so we weren't really allowed to age or gain a pound,
Ha!
or you know. And I
How about
remember
Battle
being-
of the Network Stars
Oh.
when we had to be weighed on television?
Can you believe that?
Weighed
Did you really?
weighed
Did
on
they do
television.
this last time you did it?
God,
Wait.
no.
Okay.
No,
That they would not do that
I think
anymore.
they've learned the Me Too
Yeah.
movement was kind of
Yeah.
like, I don't think so.
Here I am, like a poster. I was supposed to be a bikini girl in a poster, and I was embarrassed to be seen in a bathing suit in Battle of the Network Stars. And I put this fake tanning on QT.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, yes.
And then William Shatner was my team captain, and Joan Collins was on my team, and one of the I love Heather Thomas. She's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, I love
and
her
Heather
too.
Locklear. But they made me do all the water sports. Shatner didn't want to get wet.
Really?
That's what happened to me
Seriously?
this last time. I did it in the reboot. And the girls were all younger than me. Denise Richards
What?
would not, I'm like, look at you. Are you kidding me? I've had 2 children, seriously.
You looked amazing.
You
I
always
love
look
you.
amazing.
I mean,
You always look
I love you both. But
And you're a
anyway,
baby. But anyway,
You were
so
adorable.
I'm in the kayak and I'm shaking with. I'm like, I don't know how to do a kayak.
Right.
Pepperdine in the big Olympic pool,
Yep.
and the cameras are on me, and Howard Cosell is yelling. It's on YouTube right now. Cornell cannot turn the boat around. Cornell is going under. Going under at one point.
She's
And I'm like-
going under.
Oh,
I
my
get
God.
out and I'm dripping with this orange.
Oh, your
QT.
makeup? Oh,
Listen to
no.
this. I go over to a white towel and sit down. It looks like urine. And the paparazzi's zooming in. I'm trying to suck my stomach in.
The pee-pee rocks in.
Wow.
You could do comedy. Let's just do a show together.
Okay.
Oh my god, it was so I just remember being in a blackout. I was like blacked out the whole time going, where do I go next? I have to jump into the
Wow.
dunk tank with Randy Oakes.
So what is harder for you? This is going to be I have ADD, so I go, wee, oh my God.
I love it.
What
It's
is-
a gift, by the way.
I think so too. I have a kid with it too. What is harder for you, do you think? Growing up, because you were a baby in Hollywood, or being a mom?
Oh my god, being a Hollywood person is harder to see. I was ready to be a mom. I had a child at 40. Okay, and I
Me too.
I didn't think to have children sooner. At 36, I woke up going, forgot to have kids. You had one at 42?
I had one at 29 and 39.
Oh wow.
I was 35 and 37.
Yeah.
Awesome.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is
I was
that?
so excited that go ahead.
No, I was going to say your transition from being an actress and then going into being a mom. And you said you took some time off. Is that
Well,
right?
here's what happened. I was going around the world on these celebrity tennis tournaments, Monte Carlo with Prince Albert and Jenny Craig and Merv Griffin, the weirdest group of people.
Right.
It was Sean Connery, Roger Moore, and I had a bit of a drinking problem. And I
And that was
was
with
Princess
David.
Stephanie all night.
David, the guy who produced those, David Merrick.
Yeah,
Right.
David Marish. It was actually
Marish.
Wendell Niles.
Oh, okay. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted your story. So you're drinking.
And I started playing tennis with Bernie Coppell, and Gavin would be there sometimes
Yeah.
at these tournaments, and I'd be running around the world playing tennis like I Spy.
Right.
And it was kind of a distraction. And I was also in every single action show you can name. Hunter, A-Team, Knight Rider, Quantum Leap, Simon & Simon, Hardball. It was like
Wow.
I was playing a race car driver.
Right.
In Dukes of Hazzard, I had a team of a crew.
Of course you were. You had a
And a
yeah.
bodyguard. And but the acting career, I remember at 35 years old, I walked into a casting director's office, Reuben Cannon. I love Reuben. He said, "Wow, you look pretty good for an old lady." I was
At
35.
At 35, y'all.
And honestly, it's
35.
amazing at that time that you were still working at 35 as a woman. Like that says a lot for you, though. Honestly, because that was unusual. Usually, once you hit 30, it was over.
Well, I didn't really get the roles after 32 or something, but I still had this celebrity tennis career thing, which was just running around escaping life.
Right.
And I hit bottom. And I fainted on center court with Prince Albert. And I remember I was playing with Kathy Lee Gifford.
Yeah.
And I fainted, and no one knew it was just drinking all day. I was drinking too much.
Right.
And I had to sort of live with that for another year and a half. And I remember I got dumped by a guy I really liked. This is the end of my drinking career.
Right. Right.
And I did get pregnant that last summer. And I decided, wow, I'm at this age where it's now or never. I've got to get real with life.
Right.
I've had this crazy, weird, fun career, but it hasn't been that lucrative, and it hasn't been my true dream to be a writer and director. And I found myself pregnant, and at that moment, I did, the amnio, and everything was perfect, and I was having a perfect baby boy, and I just had this amazing, amazing pregnancy. And when my baby was born, Jack, I still didn't quit drinking at that point. So for 6 months, this is usually what I tell when I'm in recovery.
Right.
But something clicked in at the 6th month. He's actually 6 months older than I am. So I got sober 29 years ago. He's 29 years old today. He doesn't even drink.
Yeah.
But
That's a blessing. That's a blessing.
And he was in the gifted program, and I had this incredible child. So I had this beautiful, glorious 5-6 years of just raising him.
Right.
I was on a pink cloud.
Yeah.
And then I met I met a normie, they call it when you're in recovery. I met a guy who had a little boy with brittle bone disease, and he was 4 years old. Jack was 5 years old. And we got married. So I raised 3 boys and 2 dogs, including my husband. And they all went through puberty at the same time. I write stand-up comedy now, but it was the best thing I've ever done in my life, was to raise that child, to be ready, to be really ready.
Yeah.
And to give myself to someone else instead of being so self-centered.
Right.
This business can be very shallow and hollow.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I
what do you
was
have for it at the
thinking-
end of the day? That's the hard thing. Like when you wake up, you're like, what's there?
I was thinking, raising a child, I think is one of the byproducts of it is the opportunity to heal your own inner child.
Exactly.
By taking whatever love, insecurities, anything like that you feel, and pouring it into that child so they never have to walk that path.
Exactly. And I overcame a lot of demons from my own childhood. Bless my mother, she was bipolar. And then we found out more borderline, and there was a lot of, I don't think a lot of people come to California, come to LA to become actors if they have incredibly healthy childhoods. Because I think I was seeking the adoration of strangers because I couldn't get unconditional love at home.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
And
That's interesting.
And I'm so happy now. I'm kind of at peace with everything.
Right.
Recently, I mean, it's been a process.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it takes sometimes a lifetime to start to like yourself enough to not need the approval of others.
Well, you spent a lifetime not feeling the approval and love of others, so it takes another lifetime to undo that not.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
You know how we're always jumping for, and also being raised in Texas, it was like, I remember running into my mom's room with a poem I'd written, I want to be an astronaut, and I showed it to her, and I was 6 years old, and she tore it up and went, your hair! It's all that mattered was my hair.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
And I'm not the only Texas girl that had,
Right.
Well, the higher the hair, the closer to God, as they say.
But it was like how you look was all that mattered.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's
And it's here too.
yeah.
It's here too.
I mean, it's
But we're still made up.
It's
yeah,
global.
we're figuring it out.
I mean,
We're
for
still
women.
making,
yeah, we are, and I mean that's fine. A little makeup if that makes you feel better, and I
There's
have
nothing wrong with being pretty.
No,
And if
just-
it's your choice, if you choose
Right.
whatever you choose and how you feel from the outside in or inside out, it's all that matters.
So, what do you think was your most? God, this is such a hard question because I'm sure there's many favorite parenting moment that you can think of, if you have one? I know that's a...
When he came to me and his gang of friends in 7th grade
Mm-hmm.
didn't like him anymore. Oh God, if he ever sees this. I discovered that he had bought a book called How to Pick Up Girls by Being Funny.
Oh,
He doesn't know this to this day.
Well, first of all, that's a man after
good
my
for
own
him
heart.
for like finding that on
That's-
his own. That's amazing.
that's
like
right.
you had to go to a bookstore back then, or go
Yeah.
to a. You couldn't find it online. Like
He
that's,
actually got it on. God, was he online at that point? I did buy him the very first iPhone,
oh, okay.
and I stood in line,
Right.
Oh my.
at the Apple store to get that first $650 iPhone.
Yeah.
And I wish he still had it today because it was worth $100,000, I hear.
Oh my gosh.
goodness.
Yeah, the original.
Yeah, well,
But I remember he picked it. So he doesn't know any of this stuff. So I discovered that he was on this website looking really cute, trying to do a not pick up girls, but like meet girls at that
Right,
age,
right.
7th grade.
his profile.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was kind of young for that. And then the girl in his group of kids, she was dating in 7th grade. They didn't really date. Her boyfriend was another guy in his clique.
Uh-huh.
And I remember he tried to get her. And it caused such a horrible thing with the clique.
Right.
Nobody
right.
wanted to know him anymore. And he was
Bro
crying.
code.
Oh.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, he went through such
No,
agony. And I
that's
said,
his
honey, I kind of advised him that you don't betray your friends.
Right. Right.
And to always do the right thing.
Right.
Be honest. And it backfired on him. I mean, she wanted Jack now, and then
Right.
his friends disappeared. And then it made them also unhappy that they all went back to their old ways, and they never became friends again.
Wow.
Mm.
So it was sad.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was a lesson that he learned, and you couldn't tell him. That's
He
the thing
needed to
too.
learn
You
it.
learn that you can't tell them anything. You just can't. If there comes a point,
Yeah.
you can guide them, but you can't.
Is that the hardest part for you about parenting, is not being able to protect them, or is there other stuff that you think was more difficult? Being a single mom, because I'm
Well, no, I had this husband, and I had a little stepson
Mm-hmm.
that I raised who had osteogenesis imperfecta, brittle bone disease. So I was nurturing Kevin. Jack was very independent, my biological son. And we lived in this great house in Beverly Hills, and
Mm-hmm.
they walked out the back door and they went to school 1 block away.
Oh, that's nice.
And I had all the kids home every day. That was what I loved about parenting.
Yeah.
I got to have 2 sets of kids at our house almost every day.
I
Right.
love
We
that.
did
That's,
that. Jill and I,
that's
it was our
thing, too.
houses.
That's
We would
really
always
neat.
have
'Cause
parties at our houses.
You're gonna be grateful you did this.
Oh, very much so.
You know, because
For us, and,
Yeah.
and I'm sure for you too, and I think it's obvious for most parents, when you have all the kids at your house, you know who your kids' friends are, and it sheds a lot of light on who your kid is.
Yeah, absolutely.
exactly.
Because you get to see that, and yeah.
Jill and I would hear there's a party down the street. We're like, oh, we're having a party. Jill, we're having a party. Who's
Yeah,
house?
we
Let's
are.
have a party. Okay, great.
Do we need a bigger bounce
Yeah,
house?
no, we're fine. We're fine. What do you need to get? Like we would have get more soda, candy, soda,
Sugar.
Yeah, we were the worst. We were terrible. We did Cub Scouts together for the same reason, so we can kind of anything we could do with them. We would
Yeah.
take them everywhere together.
yeah.
Let's go to the museum. Oh, you need us to take you? Sure, we'll take you. Like
Right.
we were always doing that. It was fun.
Yeah.
So are you guys best friends?
We
did
are.
that.
We are
Yeah,
very,
cute.
very, very. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that for women, I think we have a lot of best
You
friends.
do for there's different areas.
Yeah.
like for sure.
Right. Like I
You
know
have friends
that-
before you knew me, friends after you knew me, friends
Correct.
with mom friends. So yeah, it's
Who did you, being a parent when Jack was in school? Because it was this way for us. Is that's where your real core
Yes,
friendships come from, because
Yeah.
you're all sharing the same thing.
yeah.
that's
for sure.
right. And that's actually where I became a more solid human being.
Mm.
It's where I grew up and saw I wasn't molding. I didn't want to become one of those mothers that was hovering too much, because
Right.
I have a friend who was so panicked all the time over her kids falling or but I learned this metaphysical technique of letting things go,
That's good.
because I learned it in the 12-step recovery.
Right.
Is that you can't control. The more you try to control things, the worse it
The
gets.
worse
I'm
it
still
gets.
going through that. I'm not kidding. Like
Oh,
it's
really?
hard, especially as they get older. I think you
Oh.
want to control more as you're starting to lose
Yes,
them.
it's exactly.
The
Yes.
control is my instinct is this, and then they're going that way. I'm like, wait, what's happening? My husband's like, let go.
Let go. The minute you let go, and
Yeah.
there's some really
Yeah.
interesting things to happen in that regard. But
yeah.
I remember one time. Well, my friend,
Mhm.
both her kids had asthma, but she was like, "Don't eat this. Don't eat sugar. Don't eat it." And they're actually today
Right.
somewhat crippled. They're like, they lived in constant fear, and I was trying really hard not to do that. So, but one day when Kevin, my stepson, fell off a ladder, he's a little bone disease, and everything in his body had been broken at one time. When I met him, he was 4 years old and had a cast on his leg, broken collarbone, and they didn't know when he was a baby, they didn't know what it was. The dog rolled over on him, and his bones were crushed, and his father and mother were arrested. And later they found out. Well, of course they were. The minute they found out,
Right.
But one day I watched him from the front window, and I saw him climbing this ladder, and then I saw him fall, and I reversed my thinking, and I ran. I saw him falling on a bed of clouds. I decided not to scare him, and not to go And I went out and I just picked him up softly. He was sobbing. He says, "I broke my ribs. I broke my ribs," and I put him in bed, and then I turned on the jacuzzi. And I took him to Cedars-Sinai for an x-rays.
Right.
And I just kept reflecting back love to him, soothing him. And he kept saying, "I know I broke my ribs." And the doctor comes in and says, "Hey, you don't have a bruise, a break, or a sprain." And he jumped up and he went, "See, I'm fine." It was so much of it is our fear.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you can alleviate a lot of burdens with less fear.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It's hard to do, though. It's very hard.
It's
amazing
so hard.
that you
It's
accomplished
so
that.
hard to
it's,
do.
I don't always do
Because I know that. I
saying.
mentally know what you're saying is right, but then in the moment, it's hard to react like that.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, like I said, we're going through the empty nesting of losing them already.
Oh, God.
And then just...
And
you're like, I'm not done. There's more I need to do. I'm seeing all these things that are, you know what I
But
mean?
you guys still have yours. I've got the empty nest completely.
yeah.
And I'm
That's
like,
what I want to ask you, because
spying on him, going, who tagged him on Instagram? That's how I find out where he is, who tags him.
Right.
Because he doesn't post a lot.
Yeah.
So what is your advice for us in terms of, because I have one that's out the door. We have,
Oh,
our
you have one
boys
out the door.
they're both 29,
Oh, that's right.
but I have he's going to be
28.
29 on April 4th.
Oh,
But then I have the 18-year-old who's not out yet. So
you're almost there on that one.
So how is
both
that?
have
Because you
seniors.
have all of these things that we can't even list on your bio that you're doing that are so amazing.
It's inspiring for us
Thank
to
you.
look at what you have, what we have to look forward to.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. We do projects together. This is like our favorite thing, and it's
Yeah.
exciting to see this. So
But what
Thank you.
are these things that you had always wanted to do, or is this a voice that you found once your son was self-sufficient?
I started writing comedy when I got sober. It's like every tragedy turned into comedy, and I saw life through an absurdist lens. Like everything I did, I was such an idiot before. I remember
We all were.
being at the Magic Castle one day early on, and I was with Bob Whitey, who ended up directing Curb later. And they wouldn't let us in. You'd have to say "Open Sesame" to the Magic Castle.
Right.
And I yelled, "Don't you know who I am?" It was like, I did so many embarrassing things. I dressed. I was just
right.
We all
often
did.
very, very much of an idiot when I was in my early celebrity.
Yeah, but
Well, we
no
all
one
were.
knows.
You know, you don't know until you
Navigating
know.
that, I can't
But I
imagine.
began writing comedy about my own journey, and I wrote a show called Relationship.
We just write everything down, like if there's
I write
something
down
just-
jokes and bits, and they become something. And there's like spiritual therapy comedy is kind of the brand.
Right. Right.
I have a podcast called God Shots, but that's about synchronicity.
Yeah, I love
Because
it.
I had some really big synchronicities.
Yeah.
Um,
Is that a part of letting go?
yes, it's when you let go.
Yeah.
When I'm in a state of surrender, and it happened really in a huge way in the beginning of my sobriety with the Barbie dolls. That's another whole story. But I've had a lot of synchronicity, and every time I'm in that, what is the state of mind I'm in when I'm having these magical coincidences?
Right.
It's when I'm letting go of worry and fear.
Right.
Because if you have one foot in tomorrow and one foot in yesterday, you're pissing on today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're a guy, because you're
Literally.
tanning lotion. God.
All I see is a
Lorenzo.
tripod, but sorry. I don't know why I went there.
But so that's
So-
what it is for you.
So I started writing comedy, and I realized, hey, I don't like the parts they're writing for women back in the 90s.
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
For me, at least. I'm not going to be cast as a mother because I don't look as old enough at certain times.
Right.
My voice was too young to play the way they stereotype the grandma or the mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was still kind of pretty, but not thin enough, good enough, young enough to be the sex symbol anymore.
Right.
But
And I
not
don't-
old enough and too pretty to
Right.
be with
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
because
It's
we're
crazy.
in Hollywood. We're a monolith.
Isn't it weird? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. absolutely.
And we're just objects, basically. Until the Me Too movement started, we were able to have a voice finally. But I've always been writing, my whole life I've been writing. I wrote a book on Stalin.
Did you really?
Wow.
Trotsky and Stalin. It's about a female, it's the woman that was duped.
Oh, wow.
The Sylvia Plan.
Oh, wow.
The virginal Brooklyn Trotskyite who was duped by this sexy assassin in Paris.
Oh my goodness.
And I wrote an 800-page book.
Uh-huh.
I chiseled it down to 500 pages. I took it into CAA, and they took the book. They loved it. And then I got this series as a dumb blonde.
Oh, funny.
And I put the book aside because I didn't have enough faith. I didn't ever get back to it until
Right.
now.
Right,
You
good.
know, so it takes a lifetime to get
Yeah.
your
To
real
feel
writing going.
comfortable with that, right?
Right,
But this
yeah.
is another side of you that people don't acknowledge, right?
Well, that's why the book I'm writing, Hiding My Brain in My Bra, is about dumbing yourself down to get along with people in Hollywood, men in Hollywood.
Right,
I
yeah.
don't mean to say.
Right.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
How did that affect your parenting and the way you parented your son?
Oh boy, he
Because
thinks
a
I'm real
boy-
dumb blonde. The best thing I love about children, and I'm obsessed right now with babies, because I want a grandchild. It's so nerdy and obnoxious. Is the sense of wonder. And I think our society's lacking. You have that in your eyes. You both have this beautiful spirit. You know, I can tell a magical spirit. It's important to keep
Right.
that. Our society's so jaded
Yeah.
Yeah.
and cynical.
Yeah.
And I studied cynics. Cynics were an ancient sect of Greek dogmen that urinated on works of art and statues. So they peed on people's dreams.
Wow.
Wow.
So the cynicism, it's like,
Wow.
you know,
It's a
That's
choice.
so
Like, it's a
interesting.
choice. I wake up
It's a
every day and
choice.
say I'm going to have a good day. It really is a choice.
Which
And
we
you
have to
can-
do.
Yeah, you do have to do it.
So,
and be
okay.
excited about life and a sense of wonder, like,
Yeah.
oh, what's possible?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Okay, we've
I think
asked
Los
you.
Angeles does that a lot too. I really
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
I
we
lived in
do.
other states and I go visit and I travel and I come back here and there is something in the air here. I don't know what it is, but there's just possibility. And
Oh,
if
here,
it's
so
the
you
table,
feel
I do. I
better
feel
about
inspired
it.
here. I really do.
Oh, that's good to hear.
I don't know. I do. I
Yeah.
feel like people come here and they throw their soul here and this is their hopes and their
It's
dreams
like
and
dreams.
it's
yeah.
exciting. I mean, I drive down Hollywood Boulevard and I see a bus with a bunch of kids with like backpacks with guitars and stuff.
Right.
And I'm
Oh,
like,
I
they
love
just moved here and I'm so excited for them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh my God, that's
So I do
good.
feel like there's something.
Instead
I
of feeling
do.
like LA's jaded,
Yeah.
there is a sense of
There's
possibility.
opportunity. You
I
just have to find it. It's hard.
Well,
but you
I'm-
just have to find it.
I also think it's also perspective.
Yeah. For
You
sure.
know, you
Yeah.
make a choice.
Yeah.
You
it
make
is
a
a
You
choice.
make a choice.
Definitely
Every
make
day
a
you wake up, you
Absolutely.
make a choice.
Yeah. 100%.
Now, we've talked about a lot of deep stuff, so now I want to know.
Superficial stuff.
No, superficial stuff, yes. No, what I want to know is your epic parent fail.
Oh God,
Because we both have them and
Oh
we
my
talk about
goodness.
them all the time. I
Yes.
brought my son to see 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh.
I thought it was a Steve Carell movie. I misunderstood the assignment. So we walked out after, it was this and this.
I have a few of those. One is that he took me to see Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh,
No,
really?
Which was, I was trying to pretend like this was okay. I was in high school. But, and then I found condoms in his room.
Oh,
yeah.
He never sees this.
Well,
It turns out his girlfriend, he had one girlfriend all through high school.
Okay.
And she was sneaking in the window. We had windows that unlocked. It was in this old house. And
Like
you
a
had to latch.
1950s movie.
It
Yes.
was like, and I went, what is this ladder outside the window?
Oh, that's so
And I figured it out. And she
Okay.
was going in and out the window.
oh my
Oh
God.
my
Well, at least he
goodness.
was being
It
It was just the window. More than the window.
But at least she was they were being responsible.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
You did something
90
right.
of those.
Wow.
Did
Big
something
body hole.
right
But
about
the
that.
other epic fail, I think, was that I was so excited that he got into CalArts that I actually hung out at the campus a little too much.
Oh,
You would
yeah.
see me. I go, Mom, what are you doing here?
Oh, my goodness.
Well, it's like Walt Disney created that campus, Steve Jobs, and it was where Pixar was created, and it was there where they cross-pollinated all the arts, and Jack was a graphic designer, and he got into this great school, and it was hip and cool, and I wanted to be in the... I wanted to go to school there.
You want to be with the cool kids.
I wanted to be
Oh,
one
my
of the cool
goodness.
kids.
I get
I
it.
wasn't cool in high school at all. so.
Wow.
Well,
That's so neat.
nor was I, so there you have it.
You were cool.
No, I wasn't. I was working, but
Did you
I
go
wasn't
to school
cool.
on the set?
Both on the set and in a high school here in LA, a private school. and I went to school with Laura Dern. She was in my
Oh,
class.
wow,
and,
really?
Yeah, and
Melissa Gilbert, wasn't she in your class?
Melissa Gilbert was in 1 or 2 grades older. Then we had why can't I think of his name? Oh my God, we sat in study hall together. He wrote Less Than Zero. Why can't I?
Oh wait,
Bret Easton Ellis.
Bret Easton Ellis,
who was
yeah.
just Bret Ellis at the time. Yeah, so no, I was not cool. I was a little fish in a pond of, Barry White's kids and Joan Rivers' daughter, and
Did you miss having the regular, normal high school experience?
no, because my mom made me do it, which was great. I was in all the theater
That's good that
productions
you
and
did
so.
that.
Oh, wow.
But okay, we could talk for hours and hours. We don't have hours and hours, but I'm so grateful to have you here. This was such a blessing,
I'm
and
grateful
it's so
too.
good to see your beautiful face and your beautiful spirit.
Thank you.
And
Me
I'm so
too.
excited for you and everything you're
Thank
doing.
you. I hope this movie gets produced and that,
Oh.
I just want to do things
So
for
happy.
women now, projects for women.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I've done it for
Yeah,
envy.
me too.
I used to be jealous of women that were cuter and hotter. Now I want to just help them.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
You know?
you're out of that trope.
I'm
Right.
finally out of that.
Which
Well, we should
because
all
we
help
were,
each other.
right,
That's the
we were
idea.
pitted
We were all
against each
pitted
other.
against, exactly.
So
Exactly.
the older you get, the wiser you get.
Yeah.
And
It's
then we
such
can-
it's so true, isn't it?
yeah. It's
And there's
crazy.
also more part. I feel like there's more parts for women too. Earlier on, there was like 1 woman and 20 men, and
Yeah.
so it's you really just had to fight just to
Yeah.
stay alive. It was
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have to do this again. We have to
Thank
listen
you.
to your amazing podcast.
I'd like to have you guys on mine.
We
Yeah.
tell us about your podcast so we
Well,
can share.
It's interesting. I met a woman by accident because I trademarked the term God shots to mean synchronicity,
Right.
uncanny coincidences. I have so many that are almost spine tingling, including my first audition.
Right.
Deborah von Valkenburg
Yeah.
ended up working
Yeah.
for my father.
Oh my
The
goodness.
girl who plays my sister, we met at ABC. We were like the 400th girl they were cast at each, and she goes, "Your name is Kornelloff?" And I went, "Yeah, it's a weird name, Kornilov. I gotta come up with a shorter name." She goes, "I worked for Gregory Kornilov, who was working at this shipping company." I went, "That's my father."
Oh my. That
So, synchronicity.
Craziness.
And we're still best friends. And I directed her in a movie
Wow.
that I wrote.
You and I had that.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I was in the show choir. I went to High School of Performing Arts in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And we did this huge charity event. It was an
It
ABC
was a telethon.
telethon, and
Glenn
I was
Scarpelli and I were
showing.
hosting it.
I love Glenn. Really?
Yeah,
We had no idea.
we did not know each other, and I'm showing my kids like, oh, this is what Mom did when she was younger. They had no interest whatsoever, and they're like, you went to high school with Jill. I'm like, no, I didn't. And there's Jill hosting the telethon, and I'm right behind her talking, getting ready to sing and dance. And Glenn, and now I'm working with both of them.
No
30
way!
years later, it's
Isn't that
crazy.
crazy?
Yeah,
God, see, that's what I'm.
Yeah.
I'd love to have you guys on our show
Yeah.
because
We would.
I knew
love
we
that.
were meant to.
We were meant to be
That's
because
it.
we
Yeah.
clicked the minute we met. We
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, jazz hands! Oh,
Yeah.
me too!"
Mac and Mabel, yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
sisters from another mother.
Just a good soul.
Yeah.
Just an amazing,
Good
beautiful
soul.
person. Talented, funny,
It's
smart,
fun. We've had fun.
full of grace.
I can't wait to. So our show's about this, about
Yeah.
the synchronicities. And what are they? They're not random. Einstein said no problem. Einstein said coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous.
Mm.
And I'm not religious, but I
Right,
believe if
right.
there's tangible,
Yeah.
spiritual,
You have
but
to pay attention.
tangible
Yeah.
love is all
Yeah.
there is. Pour
Yeah.
love on every problem, and just turn it over to higher, to the
That's why you look
infinite
so
love.
young and healthy. And
That's
it.
You just glow.
That's right. That's
You
why
glow.
your eyes
That's right,
sparkle.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's sweet of you because I've hit a
Absolutely.
certain milestone that I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, you look amazing.
Thank
It's
you.
an honor to have that.
It
Better than
is.
the other.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Being
much.
here, Miss
Thank you so
Lydia
much.
Cornell.
We should all work together someday.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm gonna get a whole women's gang together to produce this big film.
Okay.
That's great. Need a casting director? Let me know.
Yes.
We do. Well, we'll talk.
Yeah, we
We'll
would love
talk.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right.
Yeah, we got a
Thank
lot of
you.
stuff
Thanks,
going on.
guys. We got to talk
Thank
Hollywood now.
you.
So until next time.
All right. Thank you.